All right. How's everybody doing out there? Hey, we've got a good little show here lined up for you guys. We're going to go over eating well while traveling or socializing. And for those of you on the pen, I know what you're thinking. Like, what's the deal with the ridiculous mustache? Hey, it's November. We're doing a little mustache for kids fundraiser. So I got a little stash for tonight, and hope it's hope you guys enjoy it. Have some fun at my expense for looking like a child predator. But the joke's probably not appropriate with all the chaos out there right now, but I definitely feel ridiculous, and so y'all feel free to make some fun at me. But hey, we're going to jump in onto our presentation tonight. Again, eating well while traveling or socializing, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. We've got our holidays coming up right around the corner, and with that, man, a lot of people really struggle. In fact, the average American usually gains about 5 pounds during the holidays. We have a lot of time with family. We have social events, holiday parties. And the issue with that is that the majority of us don't lose the 5 pounds after this holiday season's over with. We'll start our New Year's resolutions, get back, but it tends to stick on a few of those pounds year after year after year to where 10 years, 20 years from now, we've got a real problem with prolonged weight gain that we can't really get off. So this is a perfect time of the year to jump into this, hopefully help you guys get some plans set up for managing the holidays, doing that a little bit better, and staying healthy. So without further ado, we're going to jump in, and I'm sharing a little PowerPoint that I created with you, and we're going to jump in. So essentially what we want to cover tonight is that, look, we need to have some strategies in place for restaurant dining. We need to have some strategies in place if we're traveling, particularly as we travel. So are we driving in a car? Are we going to stay in a hotel at family's house? Are we flying? We'll be there for 1 or 2 days, 3 days, a week. What do we have set up to help us be successful? Because when we're traveling, we're not in control of our food environment, which makes it really hard to eat healthy a good deal of time. Also, while socializing, we need to have some strategies in place to make sure that we stay kind of within the guardrails of our plan, that we don't go too crazy and end up on a bender and a binge, man, that leads us feeling bad and feeling guilty about ourselves and stops our progress. And then the big piece of this is we need to be able to identify some challenges or barriers to our success. Like, what are our triggers? What are the things that give us issues? What can we do kind of with our travel or holiday plans and social situations to really set ourselves up for success? So without further ado, we'll jump in. So we'll start with eating out. So why do we eat out? Well, look, hey, it's easy. I don't have to shop. I don't have to buy anything like at the grocery store, walk around, make food choices while in the grocery store. I definitely don't have to prepare any of the food. It's just, hey, man, let me get this, and it comes out. It's cooked perfect most of the time. Cooked really well. It's flavors or dishes we typically can't do very easily for ourselves. And again, it eliminates the work of cooking and cleanup. Typically, it's relaxing with fewer distractions. It's not us navigating, keeping the kids tied down. It's, we're out socially. We're usually with friends or with people. We have great conversation, lighthearted. It's fun. We get a great experience out of it. So it's something that we definitely look forward to. And in fact, like, dining out now has actually surpassed cooking in on the typical American household. More meals are eating out at restaurants than are eating in people's homes now. Again, with this, like, if you're the wife or husband at home, you don't have to think about like what is the other people in my family like to eat. You can go there and they got 1,000 options they can order from, so it simplifies things. And then obviously, like I said, you have a variety of food and you have the enjoyment of the companionship, conversation, connection, all that there. Unfortunately, as we look at this, like, man, we got some issues with the American way. I work at a place, and we've got a buffet. And while the food, a lot of it is incredible, it is really healthy. Our staff does a remarkable job of making it good. Hey, it's still a buffet, and everybody wants to eat their money's worth. So they go in, man, they get done with this plate, and it's like 4 times the size of what your typical portion should have been. We got a little spoonful of this, a little spoonful of that. Next thing we look down, it's like we got this heaping plate that there's no way we should be able to eat all that. Another thing with eating, like, hey, if you guys ever tried to be healthy, you're making changes into your health and wellness, then hey, occasionally, you're going to say like, hey, I've really done well for a day or two, and I think I've earned a big treat. And so as a result of that, we'll typically go off on a binge a little bit. We'll do some things that maybe we wouldn't typically do. Another thing, American way, I don't have time to cook. I'm too busy. So as a result of that, we eat out more meals than we should. I'm not saying that you can't be healthy while eating out, but if that's how you eat the majority of the time, you're gonna have a lot more struggles in general than someone who eats at home. There's a lot more temptation when you're not involved with your food environment that makes eating out a lot tougher. Some will say it's easier or cheaper to eat out, depending on where you go. But for the most part, I will always say if you're really, really good with going grocery shopping, with sticking to a plan, cooking, like you could do this a lot cheaper than you can eating out. But there are some people, depending on what you're cooking and the quantities and all that, you can make this a little bit cheaper depending on where you go. And then, hey, other people, hey, I'm out of the restaurant, man. I'm not worried about my diet. I'm not worried about my plan, and it's a problem. Unfortunately, hey, with the American way, we come with some things here. So we got a couple things we can look at. When you look at this, we're looking at a fast food order sign. We got some funny things and humorous things on here. Um, as you go, you get a free in-network referral with every order. Angioplasty combo with your burger, shake, and fries. We're running into some health conflicts. And because of that, the majority of it's because, one, we don't move worth the damn anymore. No, everyone sits for 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day. We're not getting movement, but the bigger piece of that is we live in an environment with an overabundance and access to calories that we don't have to earn. We don't have to get out and do anything. And any desire, any craving, anything we want, we can dial it up on the phone, have it in whatever size and quantity we want. As a result of that, we're having some issues, right? In case you guys didn't know, obesity at an all-time high, right? Hypertension, right? All-time high. Diabetes, all-time high. Cancer rates, all-time high. And it's because of our lifestyle. But a big, big, big driver of that is our food and it's our nutrition. So we want to go out and I want to help you guys, give you some tools tonight. How can you eat out and still stay healthy? So we're going to get into this. The restaurant dining the healthy way. It's getting easier due to consumer demand for healthy selections. We as consumers have advocated, a lot of us are asking when we go out to dinners and we go out to restaurants that, hey, what are the healthier options? It's real that restaurants are starting to cater to our demands. And the more that we do that, the more access we'll have to healthy options. You guys go now, any national chain or restaurant brand has to actually promote the nutritional values and content of all their foods, either on the menu or online. So if you do want to go out, you can look up in advance and really identify what are the best options for you. What are the healthier choices? The other thing with dining out is, hey, change your focus from the food and drink to actually socialization and connection. Hopefully what you're really there for is to sit down at a table with friends and peers and have a conversation, like connect with people. Put the cell phones away, put all that away, have a laugh, cut up, like talk about what's going on in your life rather than really being obsessed about the food and all that. That's a really, really helpful tip for everyone. In order to do any of this successfully, one of the things you may have to do is you are going to have to plan ahead and really set a plan in place. That means you may have to look online at the restaurant you're going to that night in advance. You may have to look at their menu. You may have to search that before you're in that food environment. But what are the healthier options? And can you go into that restaurant with a game plan? Like, hey, I'm going to tell them no bread basket. When it comes out, I'm going to skip the appetizer. I'm going to get a side salad, and I'm going to get a broiled fish and a grilled veggie option. Like maybe if you already identify that, you know what you're eating. When you get in there and you get in there in that environment, man, the smells, the ambiance, the kind of social aspect, and you see the people at the table and around you, they're ordering drinks, and that's like, man, that makes it really, really hard to stay with your food plan and be consistent with it. But if I go in there, I already know, here's what I'm going to go get, here's what I'm going to order, and I get in there, it's just boom, I order it, I stick to the plan. It's so much easier. So these are things that you're going to have to get into the habit of doing if you eat out consistently. Also, you may have to have a few basic requests for modifications that you know that a lot of the options when you come out and you order, they're going to come with French fries, they're going to come with unhealthier options, onion ring, whatever. So you may have to ask, is there a veggie or fruit substitution when possible? You may have to ask, are there leaner cuts of protein that you can have? If something's a chicken thigh or something, hey, can I get the chicken breast? If it's a ribeye, do you have that in a sirloin? What are the healthier or leaner proteins that you have? All right. So let's get into, again, restaurant dining 101. One of my first tips is this. Hey, if you know, we all have these, is there a restaurant that doesn't cater to special requests? It's like, man, this is it. Like, this is how we make it. It's how we've always made it. We can't substitute. If that's the case, then you may want to choose a different restaurant. You want to find restaurants that are really, really flexible that will cater you, and almost all of them are nowadays. But you have a few that are just, here's our classic meal that it's always served, and this is the only way we do it, and we don't make any substitutions. Another thing, hey, you may want to call ahead and speak to a waiter or chef, someone there about food substitutions. If you have food allergies or sensitivities, you definitely want to do this. How are they cooked? Is there cross contamination or things that can get into your food sources that can impact you and your health outcomes? Call ahead. There's nothing wrong with it. Make a plan. Someone there will be able to help you. Again, take a thorough look at the menu online prior to arriving to identify the healthiest options. Again, don't get stuck in the restaurant in that environment trying to make a healthy choice. Because as you look through it at the pictures, and like I said, in the smells, like it's going to be so much harder for you to stick to your plan and make a healthy choice. Again, national restaurants are going to have the calorie counts posted on the website. A lot of them will have it on the menu as well to really help you steer. They'll have healthy or lean sections on the menu, and you want to spend your time moving in that direction. And then again, do they have healthy menu substitutions for things like food allergies? If you have that, if you have a sensitivity, something you can't have, whether that's oils, butters, dairies, gluten, you name it, make sure you state that, right? And here's the thing, when you do this, you want to ask questions when you go to the restaurant. When you look at the menu, a couple key questions you want to ask is one, how is the menu item prepared? A lot of times you may go in and it's like it's some kind of chicken and veggie dish or whatever, but doesn't really say like how is it seasoned that well, what all's cooked with it, with the sides, like how is that cooked. So you want to go to restaurants where you can really ask the waiter or waitress and say, hey, look, I really like this entree. Can you tell me a little bit more about how it's prepared? Is it grilled? Is it baked? Is it broiled? Is it fried? Is it in butter, sauteed there, in oil? Is it steamed? Find out how it's prepared. Same thing for the sides. What comes with it? What are my options for how that is prepared? So if it's a grilled veggie that's sauteed in butter and oil, can you ask, hey, is there an option for me to have the veggies steamed? Right? Whatever that is, make sure you look at it. Also look, hey, there may be an a la carte section. You can order things on the side instead of at kind of what the pre-boxed or pre-formed menu. So look at those things. The key point is I want you to know, hey, you're the customer. You always hear the thing, the customer's always right. It's not always right, but they're usually right. So I want you to make sure, hey, you're in control of the table. It's your meal. You're paying good money for it. So make sure you speak up and you state your preferences. Uh, don't just make assumptions. Um, and you want to make suggestions sometimes and how you state or word this. We'll go over this in a little bit. Like if you want a good experience where, hey, a waiter or cook staff or somebody hasn't done something to back to sabotage your food, there's certain ways to ask to go about this where, hey, you can be in control of your table, but you could still be a really, really nice and respectful person. So you really maintain a good relationship with the waiter, the server, the cook staff, and you get your food to come out the way that you want it without anything being added to it. So a couple things again, make the suggestions. Can I substitute sliced fresh fruit for the French fries as an example? Ask the server to repeat your order. I'm always amazed. I go to restaurants and have a table of 8 or 10 people, and these waiters come out and they can sit there and take 8 people's orders, modifications, substitutions, and they don't write this stuff down anymore. Like who the hell's not writing this stuff down? Like I would do that and I would be a complete wreck. Like everybody's orders would come out jacked up. Like everybody would be eating free on the house on me. So make sure you ask the server, repeat your order, make sure you get what you want. And again, you're in control of the table. It's your meal. Make sure you do it. Here's a couple things, right? So when you guys go in, you want to ask things in a relaxed, polite, and cheerful tone. Use phrases like, would it be possible to? Right? Would it be possible to sub out the French fries for steamed veggies? Simple example, right? Almost every restaurant would be more than happy to do that for you. You may also say, hey, it's important to me not to have gluten, right? It's important for me not to have dairy. It's important for me not to have oil or butter, whatever it may be, right? And then state your preference. I have a food allergy. I have a food sensitivity. I have an intolerance to it. I'm not able to, okay? Other ways, hey, would the chef or cook be willing to? That's another great one. Another great way, super cool way to ask for that, right? To make sure you get what you want. And if something does come out that's not the way that you want it, that's not what you ordered, not prepared the way it should be, then hey, how about this? This looks wonderful, but I can't eat it because. You don't have to be a jerk. You don't have to be an asshole, right? Like, you can just literally say, hey, this looks wonderful. I really appreciate it. It looks incredible, but hey, unfortunately, I can't eat it because hey, it's not It's not done. Ask for it to be medium well, and it's actually medium rare. Or hey, this looks wonderful, but I can't eat it because it's covered in butter, and I really can't do butter. Can I get this done or brought back with a different side or prepared a different way? Particularly if you ask for it up front, it doesn't come out that way. Man, it's so easy, and restaurants will absolutely take it back, no questions asked, and make that substitution for you. Here's the other things, right? A few other tips, right? Again, I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, and the restaurant for me that is the hardest for me to make a good decision in is K38. There's healthy menu options. I could do fajitas and all that, but man, there is something about that place. I don't know what the hell the magic is and the chips, the sauce, or whatever. When that comes to my table, man, I am going bananas on it. I mean, I could literally, I think, eat a whole basket of chips and salsa on my own, much less anyone else. And so for me, like if I'm really on a plan, I'm really trying to eat healthy, I've got goals I'm really trying to achieve, then hey, that's a restaurant for me that when possible, I'm gonna avoid that restaurant. Okay. Restaurants that tempt me to stray, restaurants with trigger foods that I have a hard time. For some, that may be Italian. For some, that may be a Tex-Mex or something like that. For others, it may be an Asian or Chinese food or something along those lines. But whatever the restaurant is, if it really tempts you to stray, like the food there is just incredible. It's just delicious. And there's things there that, like, man, you just have to have when you go there. Then, hey, if you're really making changes towards your nutritional habits and intake and you're trying to be healthy, those are ones you may want to avoid. Also, hey, if you're going out with friends and family, here's some other things I want you to think about. Ask for their support. Tell them what you're up to. Hey, I'm on this new nutrition plan. I'm really trying to actually eat healthy. And hey, I would love it if I go out. Will you help me and support me in that? If so, man, your friends, people, man, most of them love it. You got people who want to be an asshole, want to wave like desserts in your face and order unhealthy stuff and just rave about how good it is in front of you. Like, nah, that's not real friends. That's not people who are really trying to build you up and support you and help you be at your best. And that's people who want to make you feel bad. People who want to tear you down. It may be someone to say, hey, look, at the end of the day, I need a better damn group of friends. If that's the case, don't be afraid. Like, man, find the people who will support you. Hang out with them. So that's one thing to help. If you are going to hang out with that unsupported group, then my advice to you is this: order first, right? If you go around a table and you're the last person to order, and the last 5 people in front of you all order the cheeseburger and fries, and you think you're going to order the grilled chicken and broccoli, that's probably not going to happen. And if it does, for the rest of the day, like I promise you, the rest of that meal, your friends are going to look at you and they're going to talk shit, right? Think about, oh, this guy, the health freak, man, he made this choice, right? You can either butt up against it and say it doesn't matter to you, right? Or a lot of times you cave. You don't want to be the one who's different. So you say, oh, yeah, all right, I'll do the burger and fries too. So what I want you to do is if you're going to eat healthy and you're with a group of people who are unsupportive, then you order first. You go ahead and the first one to break the ice and the waiter comes out, hey, man, I want to do the actual grilled chicken and steamed veggies. And everybody else after you then orders the burger and fries, it's not nearly the same experience for you. All right, so those are things I want you to think about. And then also a couple other tips. Don't try to skip breakfast and lunch and then go bananas on a dinner. Like, man, I'm going out for dinner and I'm going to have like the bread basket, the chips, the salsa. Man, I'm going to have like my 2 or 3 favorite apps, this entree, a dessert, a few drinks. Like, let's not go that route. There are strategies that you can calorie carb cycle earlier in the day and the week to set you up for success. If you know you're going to go a little off the rails, you're going to add an extra 500,000 calories into your diet or for that meal, there's absolutely ways you can build into that into your week or to your day to allow that. But let's not go completely bananas on this. If it's something that you're really comfortable with, you've tried, you've had some success, by all means, okay, well, let's keep it going. But if not, let's be ready to make good choices early throughout the day, not completely limit or restrict yourself and set you up for a huge binge. Okay? Went out at the restaurant. We got a couple other tips that we want you to think about. So number one, when your entree comes out, ask for it to go to container or ask the waiter that, hey, can you actually box up half of that entree prior to it coming out to the table? Because we eat with our eyes. And unfortunately, most restaurants these days, man, they do way more on the serving size than what you need. And when it's on your plate, we've all been conditioned and taught to clean your plate. And as a result of that, we're gonna eat the majority of the plate. So if it comes out and it's half the size, the rest of it's boxed up, we'll still be very satisfied with that meal. We won't feel guilty or feel like we're missing something. and you just cut the calorie intake in half. And that's a really simple thing that you can do that restaurants and waiters will help you with instead. Also, if you're going to go out to eat, consider going to lunch instead of dinner. Lunch portions are usually smaller and a little bit cheaper as well. So you save a little bit of money. Portions are a little bit less. Maybe a better solution for you guys to go to a lunch meeting offsite with friends and do that rather than going to dinners if you can. Also, hey, don't be afraid to ask someone who's eating with you, hey, do you want to split an entree with me? That's another way to cut the portions in half so that you don't eat the whole thing when it comes out, knowing that in a traditional American restaurant, we're going to have way more of a serving size than we need. Also, hey, get an accountability partner. Get somebody that is eating really, really healthy, that's really mastered this, that feels really good and comfortable about it, and ask to go out to lunch with them. That way, maybe they can help you with some of their tips and strategies of how they've been able to be successful, and also support you in your health decisions and healthy meal choices. Okay. The other thing, hey, before most restaurants today, they all have bread baskets, chips and salsa, any of those things. So ask the waiter when you get in to, hey, when he comes to take your drink order, say, hey, we want to, grab a couple glasses of water, unsweetened tea, whatever it may be, and hey, if you don't mind, we want to hold the bread basket or the whatever it is that's coming out to the table. Also, a couple other tips, anything that's fried mozzarella, fried chicken wings, those things, like we probably want to avoid that. And most of your appetizers, not all, but most of your appetizers are going to be foods that are probably a little bit more higher in calorie content, that are probably not of the best nutritional value for you. When you look at here at the beach, it's crab dips and calamaris and things of that nature. You've got potato sliders and potato skins and nachos and all that. Those are things that in most restaurants are probably definitely not going to be your best option nutritionally, particularly caloric intake. So those are things you kind of want to avoid if possible. This one's the next. Next one's a biggie. Next one's a biggie. Limit alcohol. Alcohol can actually inhibit or impair your decision making, and so from there, you definitely want to make sure that you're conscious of that. So if you see that, then limit that, and if it leads to you to poor outcomes, I have one or two drinks and completely fall off the wagon, then by all means go ahead and cut that out and make a better decision. And then also, here's another great tip: eat a healthy snack prior to the meal to prevent yourself from eating when, like, in that complete state of absolute hunger. Like if you're going to a restaurant and you hadn't eaten anything in hours, by the time you roll into that restaurant and you are ravenous and like, hell, I can eat my damn arm off right now, then you're probably not going to set yourself up for success. So you want to make sure prior to arriving there, you get a little healthy snack, you get something in your system, you don't eat while starving, right, and you keep yourself working, okay? Also, we want to go in from here, and you also have the option menu-free dining. Any restaurant you go to, if it's an upscale restaurant right now, you can completely order off the menu. You know the things you can have, the things that set you up for success. So if you don't even want to look at the menu, that's when you say, hey, would it be possible for the chef to make me a baked salmon and like a quinoa or something, right? Like most restaurants have those things and can definitely hook you up and can make that with you. And on that, you're going to focus on what you can eat instead of like, oh, I can't have this, I can't have that, I can't have this, right? Where you feel deprived. And when you get in, we have a restaurant guide that's attached on this you guys can download. And so with that, you guys can go and get all the resources you need to be successful, okay? Also, at the restaurant, this is the last thing on that. Before you eat, make sure you inspect your food. Evaluate it when your meal arrives. There's certain things on it, like if you ask for no oil, no butter, any of those things, it's pretty easy to spot. If it's shiny and there's droplets all over your plate, and you specify it's for oil-free or butter-free, it most likely has those ingredients. Send it back. The other thing, is it cooked the way you order and the way you like with the right substitutions in place? If you ask for blackened fish, right, rather than fried, and it comes out fried, hey, send it back. If you ask for the side of veggies and it still comes out with the potato salads or the French fries, send it back. All right, those are things that that we want to make sure that you know that you're in control. Ask for replacement, and then there's other things like if you go, it's okay to have some things we call survival supplies. Things you can put in your purse, you can put with you, and bring it to the restaurant. So you can bring in caffeine-free beverages, tea packs, things like that. And ask for a hot cup of water. Add those things in. You can bring protein powders if it's things like a breakfast thing. You know, like I'm going to a conference and all that's going to be is oatmeal and fruit and pastries, and maybe you bring protein powder, put it in with your oatmeal, mix it up, and you have a little bit more balanced meal. Bring your snacks, things like healthy fats, nuts, seeds, avocados, things you know you can take that will be beneficial to you. All right. From here, we want to jump in and we want to get right into the subject for on the road. And I'm going to take a quick break here and go check in, see if I got any comments on the page or anything like that. See how we are doing, and see if anyone has any questions. Anybody that's joined. We got through the restaurants. We're getting ready to jump into eating out while kind of traveling a little bit, and see if we can help you with that. So we'll jump right back in to the presentation here. Okay. And get rolling. All right, so on the road. Hey, if you're traveling, you're on the road. All right, again, hey, you're driving. It's Thanksgiving next week. I'm driving up. I know for me, mine says I'm going to drive up to my mother's house. I'm going to spend the day, and I will probably spend Friday and then come back. So knowing I'm driving there, right, there's snacks I can bring with me in the car. Maybe I pack a cooler. For me, it's a 2-hour drive, right? I don't have that far to go. So maybe I bring a couple little snacks. Maybe it's a little Quest bar, a protein bar, something like that for me that will hold me over when I'm on the road. I don't have to pull over and go to fast food. If it's a little bit longer,